Let's now take you to Parliament as the Minority Leader Haruna Idrisu has voiced out his reservations on the increasing number of judges at the Supreme Court. According to him, former President Mahama appointed only 28% of the judges to the court and expressed worry that President Akufo-Addo has thus far appointed 78% of judges to the court.
The Ghanaian public is concerned about the number of justices at the Supreme Court of Ghana, and probably an invitation to Parliament and to all of us to look at an opportunity whether it's not about time for us to have a ceiling so that presidents that succeed Nana Addo Dankwa tomorrow don't do as they please. And colleagues, permit me, because as I have said, if you take the fourth Republican period from President Rawlings to President J. Kufuor through Atta Mills, we've seen significant numbers of appointments to the Supreme Court by the President in exercise of his constitutional powers under Article 144. But, Chairman, to note that President Mills contributed about 21.4% to appointments to the Supreme Court, Excellency John Dramani Mahama 28.6%, Nana Addo Dankwa 78.6% from 11 to 14 Supreme Court judges. Whether he's mindful of the public purse and whether he's mindful he's protecting the public purse with these numbers is a matter that we all should be looking at. Here alone, 11 of 14 justices of Supreme Court. It has not happened. And, Chairman, as we've said, there are also concerns that we've seen some of the appointment coming from the High Court. Normally, traditionally, natural growth processes, when you are appointed to the bench, you grow and mature with time. You don't bypass others at the High Court who are seniors before you, bypass other persons who are appeal court justices before you, and you just run faster because of political favoritism. Or normally, as I said, this is not directed at you, but we are concerned as a country, we're benefiting from some political favoritism to ride faster and above persons who ought to be there. So, Chairman, the judiciary, sometimes even criticisms against them when they poorly deliver judgment and don't write them well, they say we shouldn't criticize them. It's part of political accountability for us to demand that things are done and done right. So throughout our history, Chairman, the number of Superior Court justices normally stay around 14, 15, not 19. So Nana Addo Dankwa, what is he doing to the Supreme Court? We want him to guarantee the independence and autonomy of the judiciary as a fearless arm of government that should deliver justice. But these are concerns that the Ghanaian public have, and we have a duty to convey it so that as a country we can take a decision going forward. How many justices of the Supreme Court do we have? I consider the Constitution provides a lower threshold, but no ceiling in terms of the threshold. What we do as a country remains a question that I'm sure the Constitutional Review picked up. But we need a strong, fearless judiciary to hold government accountable, particularly excesses of judiciary, and to ensure that both Parliament and the Executive acts in accordance with laws.
Let's have a conversation on the back of this, and joining me via Zoom is private legal practitioner Bobby Banson. Bobby, Minority Leader Haruna Idrisu has raised concerns about the increasing number of judges at the Supreme Court. Does it really matter the number of judges the president appoints to the court? Now, Bobby Banson. Bobby, can you hear me now?
Yes, I can hear you. Can you hear me?
I was asking you that Minority Leader Haruna Idrisu has raised concerns about the increasing number of judges at the Supreme Court. Does it really matter?
Well, good evening to you and your viewers and your listeners, and thanks for having me. I listened to him. I do not think that he does not have a right to raise these concerns. He's a minority leader, and he said that he is carrying out the concerns of the public. I do not wish to whittle down those concerns, except to add that in these matters, you ask yourself whether or not there has been anything illegal or unconstitutional with it. You'd have to answer that question in the negative. Because, like he said rightly, the Constitution states a minimum number of appointees to the Supreme Court without keeping a ceiling. And as it is the practice, normally new persons are appointed when there is a vacancy or there's about to be a vacancy. I know for a fact that a few of the current members of the Supreme Court will be retiring either this year or next year. And I believe that that is what may have informed the decision of the president to start the process to replace them. And so if that is being done, perhaps my only worry is the suggestion that it is being done for political expediency. And that has been my difficulty with some of these discussions. It's okay to say that or to ask, to question or to suggest that there should be a maximum number for the purposes of the public purse and what have you. But if the president has nominated 4 or so persons to the Supreme Court, and then in your discussions you suggest that their nomination is for political expediency, you do not only attack the persons who have been nominated or the person who nominated them, you also seem to attack the integrity of the judicial system. And that is the problem that I have with some of these comments. In any event, the minority has almost an equal number of members in parliament. And I believe that they will have a very large say in the vetting committee. If they have a reason why they think that the persons who have been nominated should not be appointed, that is why they are sitting there as members of parliament.
Right.
That is why they have almost an equal number on the vetting committee. So they should use that power that Ghanaians have given them as representatives to reject the nominations. So if they are saying that they think that the nomination has any not malicious, but political undertones that is skewed towards a political party, then let them exercise that authority that Ghanaians have given them with almost an equal number of membership in parliament to reject the nomination and state their reasons, so that if or even start the process of getting those constitutional provisions amended, if need be, so that we know for sure that the concerns that they say that the public are expressing are not being communicated only to malign those who have been nominated or suggest that their nomination was not because they ought to be there or there is any other reason apart from the fact that persons would be retiring and we need to replace them.
Right. Bobby, President appointing Supreme Court judges, does it really have any impact on our justice delivery?
I do not think so. I mean, yes, remember the president's appointment is subject to a lot of considerations and stakeholder involvement. The president always says that in consultation with this group, with that group, situations where actions of the ruling government or cases, let me put it that way, that have been, or rather simply put, that the Attorney General has lost applications before the Supreme Court. On top of my head, I could speak to the most recent one concerning the provisions in the Narcotics Control Act, where the Attorney General had introduced, or Parliament had passed the law, which seemed to legalize certain aspects of the narcotic growth or whatever as it is. But the Supreme Court, by a majority decision, struck down those provisions. So the person who wrote the lead judgment was appointed by this president.
Right.
But he disagreed with the position of the Attorney General on this subject. And so it is not automatic that the fact that the president appointed someone means that the person will toe the line of the presidency. I mean, I always hold the view that judges are human beings. They are bound to make mistakes. But as a country, it is only the judiciary that we have as a very strong apolitical institution. The moment we allow politicians to start bastardizing the judiciary, we have no hope as a country. And so whether it's MPP or NDC, I do not ascribe to any political commentary which seeks to bastardize the judiciary. They make mistakes like every other human institution. But that is why we have elected to have them there. I mean, not by election. I mean, as the Constitution has created the judiciary.
Right.
In every developed society, they make mistakes. They deliver decisions towards this way. 5 years later, 10 years later, either the same bench or differently constituted say that, okay, we are departing from our decision. But at the end of the day, they deal with the facts that are before them and not emotions. And so we should be quite careful when we start the narratives that seem to suggest that whoever is appointed by the president is there to the Supreme Court or to any other level of the judiciary, is there to do the bidding of the person who appointed him.
Okay. Bobby Banson, thank you very much. He's a private legal practitioner.